Right. I think we may be good.
All right.
All right. I think we are live now. Let's double check our phones just to make sure that we are in fact live. We are confirmed live. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing well, enjoying this fabulous Tuesday. It started out by a little bit of rain this morning, and then it cleared up quite nicely. So, sitting next to me, whether you're looking to the left or to the right, he's on my left, is Mr. Kyle Wohrle with Wohrle Real Estate School. Kyle, thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
We
thank you for inviting me.
we're so glad. You know, as you start and begin your real estate career, the first place you really have to start is with real estate school. And Kyle, you have your very own real estate school. So I am going to let you take the main stage while I kind of work in the background to get some things done. Kyle, take it away and tell us about real estate school.
All right. All right. Well, first of all, a little bit about me. I've been a licensed broker for 17 years. I have been a past president of a Realtors Association. I've been a chairperson for numerous committees within the industry. Yeah, so I decided to open up a real estate school. We're going on our second year now, and it's been a phenomenal success. My real estate school is all online. And the benefit of online is you can do the course modules on your schedule. You just log on, it's available 24/7, and you just knock them out when you have some free time. Um, Everyone who wants to become a real estate agent has to take a pre-licensing class. It doesn't matter if it's Indiana or Kentucky. And in Indiana, it's a 90-hour class, and in Kentucky, it's a 96-hour class. So to get started, you just would go to my website. Are we still live?
You're still live. Go
Okay.
right ahead.
All right, all right.
We can only see you.
All right, all right, all right. So you go to my website. It's wohrleschool.com, and we can send that information out later. Yeah, and you just click the enroll button, and then you get instant access. With the school, you get the online content. It's a mixture of reading and online videos. It also comes with CompuCram, which is a test prep program. Yeah, it's been a phenomenal success. So I don't know, Andrea, what kind of questions do you have?
Well, as it just so happens, I have a couple of questions. These actually came from, well, I get these questions a lot. I'm sure you do. And let's start with talk about Indiana and Kentucky because we at Schuler Bauer, we are in both states, Indiana and Kentucky, depending on upon which one you would like to get started in. Now, there are differences in between the two states. So could you tell us what the differences are in between the pre-licensing in
Yeah.
between the two states and what does pre-licensing mean?
Yeah, so pre-licensing, that's just where you learn the general concepts of real estate. And in Indiana, it's 90 hours. And then once you pass the class,
Go. Sorry.
yeah. Well, once you pass the class in Indiana, you can set for the state exam. And then after you set for the state exam, you would affiliate with a real estate broker. And then yeah, and then within 2 years, you have to take an additional 30 hours of post licensing, and that's also available online. And then in Kentucky, it's a 96-hour pre-licensing class. The biggest difference in Kentucky is you do have to have a background check to submit with your real estate license application. Also, Kentucky requires it's 48 hours of post license education as well. I don't know what else, Andrea.
That would also be so once you take your pre licensing for Indiana and for Kentucky, and you have done your classes, can you tell us how that is now since we've had the stay-at-home orders issued in both states, and then also now with the restrictions being lifted. How has real estate school adapted to that?
My school hasn't really had to go through any changes because we were already 100% online to begin with. So the students that have gone through my program did not really experience any slowdowns. Um, the benefit again, like mine's online, so you don't have to be in person. Whereas if you do an in-person live course, you do have to be present in the course. You have to be there 80% of the time, and when you do it online, you don't have to do that. So that's the benefit of my school is everyone was already online, so there's no lapse. People still went through the course and got done, so they weren't really affected.
Okay. Because some real estate classes you could do in person, and now though it seems to be it's more virtual now.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been a shift to the virtual and towards the online anyway, and I think it's been coming. And I think with COVID-19, that's just kind of been the push to get everyone through that paradigm shift. And I think the future is going to be online.
And it's also important to point out that the classes are in some cases self-paced.
They're totally self-paced. You
Okay.
log in and you do them on your schedule. So you have 6 months to complete the program, and you won't need all 6 months. It goes pretty quick. But you log on 24/7, and you pick up where you left off. It bookmarks your space, so it remembers where you are. So when you log off for the evening, the next morning, if you want to get on and knock out a chapter while you're drinking your coffee, sitting on your front porch, you can do it. It'll remember where you're at.
So the classes are self-paced,
Mhm.
and we've talked about the number of hours for Indiana that's needed and the number of hours for Kentucky that is needed. Now, once the test is taken, is
Mhm.
there post-license education?
Yeah, so each state has a different post license. In Indiana, you have to do an additional 30 hours within 2 years of getting your license. And then in Kentucky, it's 48 hours. Um, Now, while that 2 years is going, you can still practice real estate. So at that point, you'll already be affiliated with a broker. You're out there selling, out there listing. You just have to do these post license courses at some point within that next 2 years.
Excellent. So we have pre-licensing, we have self-paced classes, we have the post-license education as well. Now, Kyle, can you tell us about your how long you've been in the business?
Yeah, so 17 years. I started right after I graduated college, and it's been a great profession. I'm very, very passionate about real estate. I've been very involved with the profession, with this local association. I've been in all the committees. I've been a past president. Um, I've been a board member for the Realtor Association in Indiana. I held that position for several years. It's just been a great career.
It sounds like it's been a wonderful career. That is a very long time. Now, we have, and this is where we're going to kind of stay together on this. You talked a little bit about the school. Now, also in terms of, let's talk about because I get this question a lot in several different avenues. Let's talk about what it means to be part time.
Okay. So in real estate, you get out of it what you put into it. Um, Real estate can be done part time, but it will be a challenge because you have to be available when everyone else is available. And that
Isn't
may,
that the truth? You
yeah,
know, it's very, real estate is flexible to the capacity of you are going to work when your client is available, which is generally nights and weekends.
yes. Yeah, nights and weekends. If you're going to work a daytime job, you also need to have flexibility with your current employer because you do work with time sensitive contracts and offers, and you have to be able to respond. So you have to be able to take breaks and check your email, check your voicemail, and check your text messages. From your other job if you are going to do real estate part time.
That is certainly correct. Let me just exit full screen mode and get us back to. All right, there we go. I am I am doing the background of this logistically as well. So, all right, now let's talk about a little bit interviewing with a broker, and this is where it is a little bit in terms of a lot of people have questions in regards to the training.
Mhm.
So, the training that we provide at Schuler Bauer is both in person with 6 feet away, or we do so much virtually. I spend a lot of time meeting with agents, and this just like we are now, except we're not live on Facebook. So, like we are now. And we talk about the different things that we are going to be doing and the things that we're going to be learning. One of those that we like to start out with is really building your sphere of influence. And that we call your database, that is your friends, your relatives, your anyone that you may have worked with in the past, even so much as your Christmas card list, if that's a thing that you still have. Even if you have no sphere of influence, you can still successfully get into real estate and make it a fantastic career because it is a lot about how the training is perceived. And at Schuler Bauer, we provide, like I said, in person and then also on virtually as well. So things that we like to start with, like I said, are the database, putting that together, and then focusing on how are we really going to generate leads. And that is something at Schuler Bauer that we offer for agents that join us. We have several different lead generating opportunities, whether it be from our customer service department or our affiliated business partners that we work very closely with. And we provide a lot of opportunities. At Schuler Bauer, we believe in partnering with agents and helping them, supporting them, and building your business to the way that you want it to be. That is what we do. So we can make it look any way you want. There are certainly things to learn along the way. I have this little saying that I always like to say, every transaction has follows the same path, but they all have different personalities. And that's because you're learning something new on every transaction. And at Schuler Bauer, partnered with and affiliated with our brand, ERA, we are able to provide the support and the training necessary to help you navigate those difficult situations that you sometimes find yourself in. And Kyle, we actually found ourselves in one today. So that we're going to handle right after this. And when I say we, I mean me and my agent that work with me. So we are going to be addressing that right afterwards. So we do have the lead generating opportunities. We do have the training. We have the support. You can do that self-paced. You can do it one-on-one. We really like to customize what fits your needs best because we want to partner with you and support you and provide you the training and the opportunities to become a successful real estate agent. So now, Kyle, I'm going to bring it back to gallery view for us. Now, Kyle, what is something that you first learned? Because we did say this was going to be an authentic question and answer. What are some things that you learned as soon as you got into the business as an agent? If you
Pro-
could tell us about that.
yeah. Your first year, you're prospecting. You're taking as many additional courses as you can. Watching back when I started, they did not have YouTube, but you're going to watch YouTube videos. You're going to go to as many trainings as you can on how to prospect, how to farm a neighborhood. My first year, I spent, gosh, every Saturday and Sunday, and I did 4 open houses every weekend. I did 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And then door knocking. I did a ton of door knocking. I'd find for sale by owners, knock on those doors, introduce who I am. And really, that's like the first year of my life in real estate. And then what happens is after you've done that for a while and you've gotten a few closings under your belt, it gets so much easier because if you do a good job, people are going to start sending you referrals. And then you don't have to pound the pavement as hard. You don't have to spend so much time knocking on those doors and driving your sphere of influence crazy trying to get those leads. Um, I will say the other thing too is like your sphere of influence. I think a lot of people have a much larger sphere than they realize. Are we still live? Like my thing keeps freezing.
You're okay.
Are we good? All right.
We're
Yeah.
good.
So
Keep going.
yeah, your sphere of influence is you have so much more than you realize, and that's kind of intimidating for a lot of people because they think, well, I don't know anybody, I'm not going to be successful in real estate. But that's not true. I mean, your Facebook is probably full of tons of people. You can use that as your sphere of influence. Maybe if you go to church or if you're in an old sorority or fraternity, like there's just a million places. Or if you do have another job, you'd be surprised. And the
Yeah.
hardest thing for a lot of new people to do is to understand it is in your first year, ask for help. So go to your friends, your family, everybody, say, hey, can you help me? Send me anything you see. If you see a for sale by owner sign, snap that picture, send it to me. If you hear anyone who's thinking about buying or selling, give me a call and let me know. And they will help you facilitate if you ask them for the help. And that's the big piece of it.
Now, your start in the business is completely different from my start in the business. And so my my beginning in the business started with when I say that you can absolutely do real estate and build a business with no sphere of influence, you can do that because I did it. I had moved to a town, was brand new in town, not Louisville, a different town. This is actually my second market that I've worked in real estate. But when I got started, I went to pre-licensing school. One thing I did do, and this is really important to point out, is really like I set some like audacious goals, some really outrageous. And in the business, we call those wigs. So wildly important goals. And I had no friends that lived in the city. I mean, I had friends, but there was no one that I knew that was going to buy real estate from me. There wasn't. And I'm going to bring it back to gallery view now. There was no one. And so I remember meeting with my very first managing broker, and I said, I want to win that rookie of the year award in the state level, the association, and national level. And that was my wildly important goal. And I didn't know anybody. Like I had no database. And so I had to build that. And the things that I did to build it was first, I selected a brokerage that I really felt like was going to support me as a new agent in the business because my gosh, I had bought and sold houses myself and but I never sold one. It's a whole different ballgame when you're actually facilitating the transaction. And so the things that I did, the things that I remember doing, because I didn't take notes along the way on everything, but like you just mentioned, Kyle, I did the things I constantly asked questions. I was constantly asking, what is this? How do I do this? How do I do that? Da, 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 da. And that was just my own ability to take on because I wanted to learn more. And like you just said, I asked a lot of questions. And that's what really helped facilitate learning faster and getting things done a lot quicker. So, and then I remember selling my first house. These people, this is a funny story. I'm going to sidetrack us just for a minute. So, I had no friends or family that were going to buy for me because my family and I, we were already living in a house and we didn't need another one. And so these people were like peeking in a window across the street. And it is, I remember they were looking in the windows, and I ran outside the front door and was like, hey, do you want to buy a house? Do you want to see a house? Like that was what I did. Those were the things I did. And lo and behold, they did buy a house. And I partnered with and affiliated with an ERA franchise in a different market. And I know that is what helped me get started was the training and the support that I received. But I also was willing to do some pretty audacious things. And Kyle, you did door knocking and I jumped on cars.
My first sale, my first house sale was from door knocking. Is a house in New Albany, and I literally knocked on the door, and no one was home. But I had my little informational thing. I had those little clear door bags I'd leave on people's house on their doorknobs with my brochure. She called me, and I was like, "Oh crap! This is my first listing. Holy crap!" So I go on my listing appointment, and it's like when you go when it's your first time, you're always scared. My heart was just
Oh, yeah.
pounding. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But I got through it. Listed her house, got it sold, and she was one of the reasons I decided to stay in the business. I knew that it was my calling. And I think because my approach has always been, how can I help? I don't look at it as, I'm not trying to sell you something. How can I help you today? And I think she sensed that. And with her, she had an illness, and that's why she had to sell her house. And she did pass away about a year after that. And I'll never forget, like at the closing, she brought me a closing gift, and it was something that her dad had given her that she had cherished, and she didn't have anyone else to give it to, and she wanted me to have that. And so that was
That
when
means something.
that
That
did
that does.
that did. And that's when I realized I was in the that's why I was in this business. And I've always just kept that mantra in my head. So if I'm ever having a bad day, I just remember what happened with her. And I have that little, it was a glass apple from the local Corden Zimmerman art gallery. And it's on my desk. And I look at that and I remember that. And that's what keeps me going sometimes when you have those tough days. And sometimes you do have tough days. I mean, it's like any other job. Sometimes you just got to push through it. But
That's true.
ultimately, it is a very rewarding job because you get to help people with
Yeah.
one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives. I mean, it's a huge honor. And I don't, usually we start off as a client relationship, but when we're done, we're friends, and we usually hang out and socialize after for, they're lifelong friends. We do stuff. We go to dinner and get drinks and cocktails and that kind of stuff. And that's what's great about this profession. It's very much a people business.
One thing that we like to focus on initially in the beginning, and that is what is your why? Why do you want to sell real estate? And if we can help you find your why, and that's something I'm very knowledgeable in and very skilled in, and can really help anyone find their why, you will no doubt be successful. And Kyle, just as you had mentioned, if you come from a perspective of how can I help and to be of service, then it's much more well received and it feels much more rewarding. You've been in the business for 17 years, and I have now heard you personally tell your first house story twice. And we both vividly tell both of our stories so well because they are so impactful. And we remember every single one of them because we do end up as friends at the end. And
Mhm.
that is the goal. So, some other things that we want to make sure that we cover are questions that you are going to want to ask a broker. And so, we are going to make sure number one thing that you want to make sure is what is the training that you provide? What are you going to do to help ensure my success and help set me up for success? So, those are a couple of things that you want to ask. Start with the training. I know that's important. The second thing is, what are your lead generation opportunities? That is one of the reasons that I chose the very first brokerage in the first market that I worked in, because I didn't have that database. So, being able to lead generate was something that was very important to me. And one of the reasons why I chose to go where I did. I did talk to several of them, but ultimately chose my home, which has now become my forever home. So training, lead gen opportunities. And then, Kyle, I'm going to bring it back to us together so that we can talk about the difference in between what it means, because this is another question I get as well is, I think I may want to be on a team. I'm not sure. I think I want to be on my own. And that's like kind of like how the body movements go too. I'm mimicking the body movements because that's how it goes.
Right.
And so, Kyle, you have been an independent agent on your own before, and where you currently practice real estate, you also have a team. Could
That's
you
right.
tell us a couple of the differences in between those two?
Yeah. So, when you have a team, there's pros and cons. So the pros of a team are it does help you with lead gen. Usually, if you're a new agent, freshly licensed, sometimes it's helpful to be on a team because they will already be established and they will funnel lead opportunities to you. If you're on a team, it's also you have a little bit more flexibility on your schedule. You Not everything has to be on your shoulders. You've got other people on your team who can kind of help out. On the flip side, though, if you're on a team, you don't necessarily earn as much because the commission structure is typically a little different on a team. So those are things that you just want to investigate, talk to the team, talk to the whichever managing broker you affiliate with, and find out what their team policies are. Are you there?
I am. So
Okay.
the challenges of Zoom and
I,
internet and being Facebook
I
Live.
know, like it freezes. I'm like, oh, I can't tell if I got cut off, if I'm just talking to nobody, because all I see is like your face is all frozen. It's usually on my end. It's like I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, okay.
Oh, if there's one thing I could tell you about real estate, there is let me say this.
Have fun with it. Unexpected stuff happens. Have fun with it.
And don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to knock on the door. Don't be afraid to ask for the business. And don't be afraid to ask questions at any point in time. So I
I
tell
think
you.
that's a really good point. Ask questions. And when you get started, there's gonna be a lot of questions you don't know the
So
answers.
many questions. Actually, we have one question right now
Okay.
that someone has posted for us, and let's go ahead and take that one. And we have been asked if you did Kentucky first. This is in regards to your licensing, like get your pre-licensing class.
Okay.
And this should be an easy answer. If you did Kentucky first, would that cover your Indiana hours, and all you would have to do is take the exam? So what's Kyle? I'm going to throw that question to you. Take it away.
Yes, unfortunately, the states do not have reciprocity. So the curriculum is a little different. So you would have to set through each state's required curriculum. So it'd be two separate classes that you would have to attend.
And we want to make sure that we're clear. It is the two different classes because it is two different states.
Yeah, the law is
Prior,
different.
yes, the states are different in so many different ways, and we could spend an hour talking about that, and
Yeah.
we're not going to do that now. But they are, in fact, different. Focus on this is an easy decision to make. Focus on your backyard.
Yeah.
Where is your backyard? Would you say that's like a fair assessment?
I agree. I think most new people should just start exactly what you said. Start in your backyard, and then once you've gotten some experience under your belt, gotten a few closings, then start working on getting your dual license.
Yes, being dual licensed, and you and I are both dual licensed.
Yes.
And you can more so speak to because you do practice selling real estate and a real estate school. And I am the director of business development at Schuler Bauer. So we do a little bit of the different things. Tell us how it is from your perspective selling on both sides of what we call both sides of the river.
I mean, that river is like a magic wall. It's like it's night and day difference. The markets are different. The realtors, there's a different mindset. The laws are different. It's a whole different experience. I do like having both, being licensed on both sides. It is handy
I
because
do too.
you do run into buyers who want to look on both sides. They're not sure where they want to live. Now, that being said, if you're licensed, let's say you're licensed only in Indiana, and you've got a buyer that wants to look in Kentucky, it's not the end of the world. Chances are there's going to be a broker in your company that's licensed in Kentucky. You refer them to that broker. And then if they buy something in Kentucky, you'll get a referral fee off of it.
That's an excellent way to put it. Myself personally, being licensed in both states, I really recommend focusing on your backyard first and make sure that you know that market and understand how those contracts work, because in real estate, while it is extremely rewarding to be at the closing table and to hand keys, and I know this is a real story because an agent told this to me, and it was not long after they got in the business, and they said, this little girl looked up to me and said, does this mean I get my own room now? And it was just like tears. Oh, that's the rewarding part. And that is what is amazing about real estate. But you really got to know what the differences are in between the states because it can get confusing. And we do have state laws in each state. But there is one thing that all realtors follow together, and that's our code of ethics.
Yep.
And as a new agent, one requirement that you are required to do is take a course in what our code of ethics are. You can actually Google National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics and you can see what they are. We have three different ones that we have to abide by. And when I say three, I'll just say the different departments and not departments, categories. We have a duty to our client, a duty to the public, and a duty to other realtors. And Kyle, would you say that our code of ethics is something we take very seriously?
Oh, very seriously. Yes, yes, yes. And if you violate one of the articles of the Code of Ethics, you can get in a lot of trouble. So it's very important. So they drill the Code of Ethics home. Like your first year, you're gonna have a class. You're gonna get a copy of it. I mean, and honestly, like what a lot of it is it's I'm gonna say common sense. Like just treat people the way you want to be treated, and you'll be okay. I mean, don't lie, don't cheat, don't, I don't know, exaggerate, just be honest. And that's really the essence of the code of ethics.
That is in an essence the code of ethics. I now Kyle, you've served on past committees before, and I have served on past committees before. I currently serve at the state level on a couple of committees, and one of those is our code of ethics, and it's very extremely important. And that is really not to say it's what makes our industry, but it's what holds us to a higher standard. And that's why it is extremely important. And it's something that is, as you said, drilled home to you in your first year
Yeah.
because they are not to be played around with. It's
Well,
what
yeah, and the National Association, they require you to have a code of ethics training every 3 years. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you don't do it, you're no longer licensed. Every 3 years has to be done.
That's right. And we also have, so after your pre-licensing, then you have your post-licensing. And then in Kentucky, we've got this little thing called core that
Yeah.
also has to be done. And then there's continuing education.
Yeah.
There is constantly education. Kyle, can you tell us a little bit about the continuing education and maybe speak to what's going on in Indiana right now with their continuing education?
Yeah, so Indiana requires 12 hours every year. Now, this is you don't have to do this. So once you're licensed, you've got to do your 30 hours within 2 years. So your 12-hour requirement won't start until after you've done your 30 hours. So you've got a little time. But then
And
once you're
for Kentucky, it's 48 hours. Is that right? On the, okay, I just,
yeah.
perfect.
So then basically every realtor in Indiana has to do 12 hours of continuing education every year. And all that's done online these days too. And if you don't do your 12 hours and you get caught, you're going to get in trouble. Just don't do it. Make sure you do your continuing education. Don't cheat on it. Uh,
That's true. You do have to do your continuing education.
yeah.
So we've talked about licensing. We've talked about a little bit of the differences in between the states. We've talked about a couple of other things. We've shared some stories as well about when we first got into the business. Kyle, thank you for speaking to your beginning, Worley Real Estate School, getting started with that. We are going to drop that information, a link to your school, and you can do both states. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Most is available through my website. And then we don't have it yet, but we're working on pre-licensing for Indiana for home inspections.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll
Home,
cover that too.
yeah.
So now I want to talk a little bit about Schuler Bauer. I've already spoke a little bit about it before. And one thing that I want to make sure that I communicate to everyone that's watching and hosting watch parties, because I've seen a couple of those go on, that we are people first, always, no matter what. People come first. We take care of clients, we help families move, and we take care of agents that decide to affiliate with us. We take it extremely important. This is your second career, your first career, your fifth career, it doesn't matter. Anyone can get into real estate at any time, no matter what part of life you are in, and you can have a rewarding career inside real estate in this industry. There is a space for everyone. And at Schuler Bauer, we're going to help you find that space. We're going to use the tools that are available to us and the resources. Those are going to be a CRM, which is customer resource management. We're going to help you manage that database. How many times should you be touching and talking to your database? I was talking to an agent a couple of weeks ago, and they came up with this really fun theme of uh, on Tuesdays, they touch their database every Tuesday. And that's just consistency is extremely important in this business, no matter what you decide to do, because you are a independent contractor. Now I'm going to bring it back to where it's just where it's us together. And let's talk about a little bit and we'll kind of wrap up with that. I'll check to see if we've got any more questions. And this is something that I think we're going to keep doing, and I'll end with that in just a moment. So, tell us about the difference in between a 1099 and a W 2, because that's probably a question that you get a lot in pre licensing class.
Yeah, so realtors, you are independent contractors, not an employee. So you will get a 1099 at the end of the year, not a W-2. So that means you're responsible for your own taxes. So you'll need to talk to an accountant or your CPA, whoever does your tax prep, and let them know that I'm going into the real estate. I'm going to be an independent contractor, and they will guide you on what you need to do. But what they'll essentially do in your first year is that they will help you set up your quarterly estimates for both your state and your federal taxes. They'll explain what that is, why it's important. Um, and then being self-employed, you are self-employed. You're responsible for coming up with your own marketing materials. You're responsible for generating your business. And then, your whichever broker you're with will give you tools to help with that. Um,
We do at Schuler Bauer, we are extremely diligent about getting you set up with first, we want to find, why do you want to be in real estate? What do you want to do? Second thing is, let's put a business plan together. What are those wildly audacious goals? And part of that business plan is helping you set up and connecting you with a CPA or an accountant. So
yeah,
that's one thing we do because I have seen some things.
I didn't do that my first year. And let me tell you what, let me tell you, I got my taxes done after that first year, and Kyle Worley had to go on a payment plan with the IRS. And it's not fun. They charge a lot of interest.
I'm sure they do.
Oh,
The IRS,
yeah.
they like to get their money.
Yeah, and they let you know they want their money.
That is true. So 1099, you're self-employed. Please have someone prepare your taxes for you. If
Yeah,
this is the first time you're going to be self-employed, because there are some things that you're going to want to know. And we could spend a whole nother hour on
yeah.
that, just talking about taxes.
Oh, mileage log. Get the app, a app that tracks your mileage, and do it right. I promise you, it will save your butt. Being self-employed, you're at a higher risk for an audit, and so you need to make sure you've got the mileage log and you're keeping your receipts and you're organized. I can speak for, I've been audited before. I've been in it for
Oh
7.
my
Like
gosh.
I'm telling you, that's the thing. Like when people go through my school, it's not after they graduate, they call me all the time, and people can always call me. Hey, this is going on, or how do I do this? Stuff that you don't necessarily get in real estate school. I've
That's
been through
true.
almost every scenario there is. I've been audited. I didn't do my quarterlies in one year. I mean, all that stuff. I can help you with that. But yeah, my mileage log was audited as part of the audit, and I had it. And I use an app called MileBug and sent that off. I mean, it is kind of a. I don't ever want to go through the process again. It's a long process, but it came through just fine. Um, Insurance, another one is health insurance.
That's
Something to
true.
consider. You're self-employed, so you would be responsible for your own health insurance, or if you've got a broker that is somehow able to connect you with some health insurance options.
It's You point out the insurance, and that is something that is extremely important. And another reason why chose the brokerage another reason why I chose Schuler Bauer, powered by ERA, because we do offer benefits through different resources. And there's actually, okay, there's a really fun one that we have that all my single girlfriends love. And it's an app called Forewarn. And
Oh
oh,
yeah, that was the best
I
app
knew you would love that one.
party. Oh my God, you go to a social gathering and you just tell people, give me your phone number, and the stuff that you can pull up, and it is so much fun. People get a kick out of that. Yes.
They really do. Okay, so the Forewarn app, this is something that you can get for extremely, like, it's like next to nothing. And and another, yes, it's fun, but also it's extremely important. So I'll let me make it serious for a
Yeah,
moment
no,
here, and
tell
then we'll get
people
back to
what
the.
Forewarn is. I think I interrupted you before you could tell people that.
That's okay. So Forewarn is an app that is on your phone right now, as you can see. And you can input a phone number in it, and it will give you public records, and it will show you the person's home address, what type of car they drive, their last 10 cars if they're recorded, because that's a thing. It will
Ticket.
Yes, it will show you if the person has, judgments or liens against them. It will also, and this is where I'm going to make it this is where I'm going to make it serious. It will show you what their criminal behavior is, and due to what has recently happened within our industry, it's extremely important that you are safe at all times. So, having the Forewarn app and inputting phone numbers in there, and then also using it to check and see what that is. And then, if you're concerned, you're afraid, you really need to come and speak to who would be your sales manager, your managing broker, your principal broker, a friend. Safety is always, always, always number one priority. Number one.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree. And I think that that's important too. That's another good question to ask a broker when you're interviewing. What
That's a
safety
great
like?
question to
What
ask.
about training for safety? Because there's a lot to think about for safety. Well,
Yep.
like for example, you're showing a house. You should never be the first one to go down to the basement. You should never be the first one to go into a garage. You should always be the last one to go. You always need to have an escape plan in the back of your mind. You need to have a code word set up that you can send to a broker or a fellow agent, and they'll know as soon as they get this code word through text, oh crap, something's going on. I've got to call the police and get them to wherever you're at. Like there's all these other things you've got to think about. And that's really important for a broker to teach their agents.
And that's something that we offer at Schuler Bauer, partnered and powered by ERA, is that app so that you feel comfortable and so that you feel safe and so that you can run numbers through there. And if you're curious what your number is, just, let me know. Just drop your digits below and I'll run it for you and send it to you. So it is fun at parties because you can find out some fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, safety is extremely important. Like you said, an escape plan. That was something I learned in real estate school. Also, never park in the driveway. Always park on the street. Do not get your car blocked because it is sometimes can be.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. You never know. And that's one thing that we teach at Schuler Bauer is safety first, people first, families first. That's how we operate. So I think that was a fun little sorry, we didn't even plan to talk about that. That just came up. Well, good. I am going to check and see if we have any questions from our audience. Looks like we might be good. So this is something that we're going to do monthly at Schuler Bauer, and we are excited to do this. And this was our first time doing this, right? This is this has never been done before. And so we thought, let's do it. Let's try it. And that's what real estate is about. It's fun first, like you said. And I've had fun tonight
I,
sharing this space with you.
I could spend hours talking about old war stories.
I could do. Maybe we should write a book or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Actually, we have an agent that did write a book at Schuler Bauer. We
Oh,
also,
yeah.
yes, we also have an agent that has their own podcast. We also have so many fun things going on. You will certainly find a home here with us at Schuler Bauer. So that's just a little
Yes,
plug.
you mentored both those people.
Yeah, you did mentor those people. So you're an excellent mentor.
Taking classes from me.
So you're excellent. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I appreciate you very much. to everyone that watched and hopped on and joined. We appreciate you watching too. We know your time is important and we appreciate you spending it with us here in this space. I think next time we're going to try for like a 9 p.m. one.
All
I
right.
know you're like, I'll be in bed. I'm like, but you know, that's when real estate happens.
Yeah.
9 o'clock, that's deadline.
If you're inviting me back, I'll do it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is something that we will continue to do should it be a success. So Kyle, thank you for being here. Everyone that watched, thank you again. Those that registered beforehand, I'll be following up with you. I know I emailed you before. I'll also be following up with you as well. So, all right, everyone, happy Tuesday. So, is that what day it is?
I don't know. Like ever since everything changed this year, I don't even know what day it is. Like, and
It's
honestly, working real estate every day is kind of the same anyway.
that's what I was going to close with in real estate. And just, you know,
All right.
it's fun. What can you say? You really have to have a passion for it. You can see that, Kyle, your passion, my passion as well, and our passion at Schuler Bauer to helping you grow your business. Everyone, thank you. Have a good night. We appreciate you.